Do you want to migrate Canada? There are several ways to immigrate to Canada. Here are some of the most common pathways. Express entry. This is a federal immigration system that manages applications for 3 economic immigration programs: Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trades Program, and Canadian Experience Class. To be eligible, you must meet the criteria for at least one of these programs and have enough points based on factors such as your age, education, language skills, and work experience. Provincial Nominee Program, PNP. Each province and territory in Canada has its own PNP that allows them to nominate candidates for permanent residency based on their specific labor market needs. To be eligible, you must have the skills, education, and work experience that match the province's requirements. Family sponsorship. Canadian citizens and permanent residents can sponsor their spouses, common law partners, dependent children, parents, and grandparents to come to Canada as permanent residents. Study permit. If you obtain admission to a Canadian educational institution, you may be eligible for a study permit that allows you to study and work in Canada. Work permit. If you have a job offer from a Canadian employer, you may be eligible for a work permit that allows you to work in Canada temporarily. What is the Express Entry? Express Entry is a federal immigration system in Canada that manages applications for 3 economic immigration programs: Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trades Program, and Canadian Experience Class. It is a points-based system that awards points based on several factors such as age, education, language skills, work experience, and adaptability. To apply for Express Entry, you need to create an online profile and provide information about your skills, education, work experience, language ability, and other relevant details. Once you submit your profile, you will be entered into the Express Entry pool, where you will be ranked against other candidates based on your Comprehensive Ranking System (CRS) score. The CRS score is based on factors such as age, education, language proficiency, work experience, and other additional factors. Candidates with the highest CRS scores are invited to apply for permanent residency in Canada through regular Express Entry draws that take place every few weeks. If you receive an invitation to apply, (IDA), you will have 90 days to submit a complete application for permanent residency. It's important to note that meeting the minimum eligibility criteria for Express Entry does not guarantee an IDA or permanent residency in Canada. The number of IDAs issued in each draw is limited, and the competition can be intense. Therefore, it's important to make sure that your profile is as strong as possible and that you maximize your CRS score to increase your chances of receiving an IDA. What is the Provincial Nominee Program, PNP? Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, is a Canadian immigration program that allows provinces and territories to nominate individuals for permanent residency based on their specific labor market needs. Each province and territory have its own PNP with unique eligibility criteria and requirements. To apply for a provincial nomination, you must first identify the province or territory that you wish to live and work in and determine if you meet their eligibility criteria. Generally, most PNPs have 2 streams: Express Entry and Non-Express Entry streams. The Express Entry stream is linked to the federal government's Express Entry system and can be a faster route to permanent residency, while the Non-Express Entry stream is for individuals who do not meet the criteria for the federal Express Entry system. To apply for a provincial nomination through the Express Entry stream, you must first create an Express Entry profile and meet the eligibility criteria for one of the 3 Express Entry programs: Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trades Program, or Canadian Experience Class. If you are nominated by a province, you will receive an additional 600 points towards your Comprehensive Ranking System (CRS) score, which will greatly increase your chances of receiving an invitation to apply, (IDA), for permanent residency. To apply for a provincial nomination through the Non-Express Entry stream, you will need to follow the specific requirements of the province or territory that you are applying to. This may involve a separate application process and additional eligibility criteria, such as work experience or language proficiency requirements. It's important to note that the eligibility requirements, application process, and timelines for each PNP can vary, so it's important to research and understand the specific requirements and eligibility criteria for each program before applying. What is family sponsorship? Family sponsorship is a program offered by the Canadian government that allows Canadian citizens and permanent residents to sponsor their eligible family members to come to Canada as permanent residents. The program is designed to reunite families by allowing them to live and work together in Canada. The types of family members that can be sponsored include spouses, common law partners, and conjugal partners. Dependent children. Parents and grandparents. Brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, and grandchildren who are orphaned, under 18 years of age, and not married or in a common law relationship. To be eligible to sponsor a family member, the sponsor must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and meet certain income requirements to demonstrate that they can support the family member financially during their stay in Canada. The sponsor must also sign an agreement with the Government of Canada to provide financial support to the sponsored family member for a period. The sponsored family member must also meet certain eligibility requirements, such as passing a medical exam and criminal background check. The requirements may vary depending on the relationship between the sponsor and the sponsored family member. It's important to note that the family sponsorship program has specific eligibility criteria and requirements that must be met in order to be eligible for sponsorship. The process can also be complex and time-consuming, so it's important to seek guidance from a qualified immigration professional or consult the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, website for further information. What is the study permit? A study permit is a document issued by the Canadian government that allows foreign nationals to study in Canada at designated learning institutions, DLIs. A study permit is not a visa and does not allow you to enter Canada. You must also apply for a temporary resident visa, TRV, or an electronic travel authorization, ETA, if required. To be eligible for a study permit, you must first be accepted into a DLI in Canada and provide proof of acceptance with your application. You must also demonstrate that you have enough funds to support yourself during your stay in Canada, and that you plan to leave Canada at the end of your authorized stay. In addition to these requirements, you may also be required to provide additional documents such as a medical exam and police certificate, depending on your country of origin and the length of your stay in Canada. Once you have obtained a study permit, you will be able to study at the DLI specified on your permit for the duration of your program. You may also be eligible to work part-time on campus or off-campus while studying, depending on your eligibility and the conditions of your permit. It's important to note that a study permit is not a guarantee of permanent residency in Canada. If you wish to remain in Canada after completing your studies, you may be eligible for a post-graduation work permit or another immigration program, depending on your eligibility and the requirements of the program. Overall, obtaining a study permit can be a complex process, and it's important to research and understand the requirements and eligibility criteria before applying. It's recommended to consult with a qualified immigration professional or visit the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, website for further information. What is the work permit? A work permit is a document issued by the Canadian government that allows foreign nationals to work legally in Canada for a specific employer and for a limited period. A work permit is required for most foreign nationals who wish to work in Canada, with a few exceptions. To be eligible for a work permit, you must first have a job offer from a Canadian employer who has obtained a positive Labour Market Impact Assessment, LMIA, or a specific exemption from the LMIA requirement. The employer must demonstrate that there is a need for a foreign worker to fill the job and that there are no Canadian citizens or permanent residents available to do the job. In addition to these requirements, you must also meet the eligibility criteria based on the type of work permit you are applying for. There are several types of work permits, including Open Work Permit, allows you to work for any employer in Canada, with some exceptions. Employer-Specific Work Permit, allows you to work for a specific employer in Canada and is usually tied to a specific job offer. International Mobility Program Work Permit, allows you to work in Canada without the need for an LMIA, based on international agreements, reciprocity agreements, and other exemptions. To apply for a work permit, you will need to submit an application to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, and provide supporting documents, such as a job offer, LMIA, or LMIA exemption, and proof of qualifications and work experience. You may also be required to undergo a medical exam and provide a police certificate, depending on your country of origin and the type of work you will be doing in Canada. It's important to note that a work permit is not a guarantee of permanent residency in Canada. If you wish to remain in Canada permanently, you may be eligible for an immigration program such as Express Entry or Provincial Nominee Program, depending on your eligibility and the requirements of the program. Overall, obtaining a work permit can be a complex process, and it's important to research and understand the requirements and eligibility criteria before applying. It's recommended to consult with a qualified immigration professional or visit the IRCC website for further information.